Hello, hello! My name is Sukhum HING, and welcome to another live stream episode of the Sukhum Show. Thank you for tuning in. Today, I am super pumped. I had an amazing day. I was able to do quite a bit of things that I was looking forward to doing, and some extra things where, oh my god, this really happened, and it was an amazing day. So, super happy, super excited to share that with you. And also, I mentioned yesterday, I wanted to talk a little bit more about attachment versus commitment. So I also want to add on to the topic, one of the things that to talk about today would be changes and how do you want to deal with that and how do you drive that as well too. And then last of all, some updates on hashtag #OhMadeHim. I'm just having a blast, and that challenge is coming along very well, if I might say so myself. Cool. And I started off today. I want to share two quotes with everybody. First quote is, if you don't like something, change it. And if you can't change it, change your mindset. Think about that. I think it's a very powerful quote when change come into play, and either we get frustrated, we push back, it's beyond what we're comfortable with, but change can be seen in a different perspective. Also, since we're on the topic of change, here's one more quote for you. Be the change you want to see in the world. So we talk a lot about people are doing this, people are doing that. Or here's an example. I hear people talk about like, I'm really sensitive to people and I want to help them out. I want to do so much for them. And I'm sharing good vibes, and you don't even return your grocery shopping cart back to where it's supposed to go. You leave it where you're at. Yeah, there are those kind of people too. So, and especially when the grocery, the aisle or the where you dock it is literally 1 or 2 parking spots away. You can't walk that far. But you talk about you want to change other people, you want to promote happiness, but you're not willing to walk the walk, you know? Who knows? And maybe people are sharing some great things, it's just they don't do those kind of actions. I don't know. One of my pet peeves, I guess. So, it says a lot about a person if you can't even take the time to return your shopping cart. Anyways, I'm ranting on for that for a second there, just because today I saw that happen, so thought I'd share that a little bit too. But anyways, here it is. So I want to talk about change then. And when you think about this, right? The first quote I shared with you guys was, if you don't like something, you change it. And if you can't change it, you change your mindset. And this is how you cope with things that comes up. I recommend this book called Who Moved My Cheese. It's a super small book if you're not much of a reader. You'll get through it super fast. But huge concept behind it was just simply, it's an analogy. Isn't it really an analogy? Well, anyways, it talks about 2 groups of rats, and there's the 2 that are super active, and they're just constantly thinking, who moved my cheese? I'm going to go find more of the cheese in this giant maze. And the other 2 happens to find a giant gold mine of cheese, and they decided to just settle down. You know, they build a community. They bought a house. They bought a car. You know, they felt life was set for them until the cheese ran out, and they were so comfortable they didn't know how to cope with change. They were stuck. Whereas the other 2 were constantly, when they found cheese, their mentality is they just keep going with the flow. They were just thinking, okay, who moved my cheese? I'm gonna go find that cheese. So, different perspective when change comes up, and how are you coping with change as well too. And the other quote that I shared with you was, be the change you want to see in the world, right? So there's this thing that I think I talked about this in April, but when I was doing the April vlogging challenge, I did a lot of engagement with the community, and there was nothing but positiveness. Like, people were sharing some great things, so there was a lot of encouraging words and praises going back and forth in the community, and that rubbed off. And what I realized something at work where we have this thing called shout out. I want to give a shout out. And a shout out would be to the level of they went above and beyond, and they're just really encouraging, they're inspiring, they're motivating somebody else, and you want to recognize them either in front of the team, in front of the whole building. But that's what shout out is. But we want to keep it at a really high level, because you can't just go out there and say, like, yeah, I want to give so-and-so a shout out because they just did a good job. Like, that doesn't add value, and it kind of water down shout outs. So here's the thing. In the last 3-4 months prior to April, I've set that expectation, and I've given feedback to others who's like, when they're giving shout out, you gotta be at that level. And what I realized is, for myself, I end up, my shout outs like were very minimum. I didn't do a lot of shout outs. And then what I realized then, the team leads didn't do a lot of shout outs. And then the team itself didn't do any shout outs. And we were just in this area where like no one did shout outs. And it was the vibe of the team. And I did not like that at all. I was like, why aren't they giving shout outs, man? Like, I see a lot of people do, or like, there's got to be someone who's doing above and beyond, who's going really crazy. And it's like, and I realized something hit me on that. Like, I was that leader who set that tone for them. And if I want to see them change, I've got to be that leader to change as well too. So going through April, getting filled with all that positivity from the Veda community, I started intentionally looking out for things where, like, seeing if they did something really great, I want to be able to specifically speak to that and recognize them for that. And I started doing 1 or 2 in the morning meetings, in the afternoon meetings, in the alignment meetings with the rest of the building. And I intentionally stepped out and said that and shared that. And I also let them know one-on-one, hey, I value that. I appreciate that from you. And sure enough, come like in the last week and a half, our team has been giving a consistent amount of shout-outs in their team meetings, in the alignment meeting, and it was just amazing to see. So if you want change to happen, you need to be that change. So I think that is huge. I thought like that for me like spoke volume. Like the amount of consistency that you put in will definitely show up on that. So I just can't say that enough. And then like knowing that, when I talk about change also, is that when I come across the negativity, the things that goes on at my own workplace, how am I being a leader and supporting that? Like, I'm not always consistent. There are times where like, man, do I really have to handle this conversation now? Or like, whatever excuse that comes in my mind at the moment, like I'm off the clock. Technically, I'm never off the clock. But whatever excuse that comes up, maybe I'm too busy, or I have to handle this first, and I lose that little bit of like committing time to have that feedback, or even committing to follow up. And what happens is feedback builds up, meaning like, this wasn't the first time I seen it happen. It wasn't the second time or the third time. This is the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th time this happened. And it's like, wow, I need to give some feedback, And that's something I want people to take away when we struggle at giving feedback, is because we let it build up to so much where we could have given them the feedback the very first time it happened. Hey, I didn't appreciate the way you did this. Or, hey, if you didn't know, this is how we do it. Or, hey, you were doing amazing. I appreciate what you said. That really resonated with me. Thank you for sharing that, Whatever it is, like, we let it build up to a point where it made it uncomfortable. It made it tough to give feedback. So my challenge to everybody is that, like, if there are things that you felt like you are not holding yourself accountable, if you feel like there are misses that you haven't done, move forward. Start tomorrow. Day 1 and whatever it is. Take some accountability for the things that you didn't do. Level set. Be vulnerable with your team. Be open with your team and just let them know, like, hey, I haven't been consistent with this. I'm owning it. Is there any conversation that needs to be had? Any conversation need to show up? Let's move forward with that. And the same goes, there's some personal responsibility for everyone else out there as well too, not just yourself, but you've got to start and take that responsibility for yourself and then make that change. So that is huge. I thought that, like, I've had like literally this conversation with someone on a different team, and they loved it, and they took something from it. They felt like that was a turning point for their team, and that conversation was able to level set. Now they're working on some plans tomorrow and start day one again, and that's just really exciting to hear that change piece of it. I was just super pumped to be able to do that, and it was just an exciting time. So be the change you want to see in the world. Super huge. And if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your mindset. That's what you have to do. All right? Cool. Thank you for that. Love to get some feedback on that. What do you guys think? What are some of the changes you guys struggle to cope with? So leave a comment in the comment section below, and let's chat about that too. All right. Attachment versus commitment. I spoke briefly about this. And when you think about it, right, how often are we attached to that task, that goal, that process, that idea, that's mine, or I thought of this first, or this is the way it should be. You're attached to it, and you place so much meaning behind it, and it doesn't give you the legway, the room to really be open to other people's idea. That's attachment. Think about that. The next time you're in a group discussion, you're in a debate, or not really a debate, that's intentionally set for that, but a group meeting, when you're sharing your thoughts, your advice, your ideas, are you really open, or are you just really set and attached, this is the way it is, and you're not looking at any other way? Know that failure follows that so high, in the sense of not the failure of I failed and I learned from it. It's more like the failure and I'm stuck with it, and it drains you emotionally and physically, and that is something we want to avoid at all costs. So we disagree. It's not even really disagreeing. We're just so focused on this is the way, we lose the ability to connect and be open with other, where commitment comes in, and asking yourself, what is the goal here? What do we want to achieve? Because if you are committed to that goal and not just attached to it, then you are open to the conversation where it might not be your idea, it might not be your process, and it might not be even you doing it, but your team and the people around you, maybe it's another team. Ultimately, they get to a goal where you all talk about. That is commitment. You are committed to doing that. And the same thing goes for some of the things in our workplace. Feedback. Are you committed to giving feedback to your fellow peers, your bosses, your associates? If you are, feedback isn't a one-time conversation. You've got to be continuously giving feedback, and that's something that it doesn't go away. One, it helps you get better in the conversation. Two, you're coming from a place, and this is take feedback out of it. If you think about it, someone's not doing well or you feel something's off, it's just you being human and checking in. You're being a friend and just following up. Everything okay? And then that feedback conversation can be just a follow-up on that, And then here's the thing, there's also an accountability. You can't just have someone come in every day and they're just not performing and doing their part in their role. There's an accountability conversation. You can have that accountability conversation. You can loop in the lead. You can loop in the managers. They can help with the accountability conversation. And that's the whole point. But you shouldn't stray away from giving feedback, because that's how you build your authentic self. That's how you continue to build your self-awareness. Because you're going to be giving feedback throughout your life, throughout your careers, dealing with people. How are you going to keep working on that? Do you just avoid them completely? Do you withdraw from them? Do you hold from what you need to say just because you're going to be afraid you might hurt someone's feeling? Oh, they're in a volatile state. I don't want to poke the bear. Like, I don't understand why people say that sometimes. I feel like you aren't coming from a good place. You aren't coming from your heart. You're starting the conversation with your heart. And that you're not able to adapt and handle the conversation very well. I mean, you've got to try. You got to keep giving that conversation. You got to give that feedback. And that's super important. So those are the things I wanted to share with you guys. Like attachment versus commitment. You want to be committed versus being attached. Super important. It's not always easy to remember because we always, we hold on to our ideas. We are prideful of it, and we are proud to think about like my idea. Like I thought of that. And like I gave that input. It's not always easy. It's a hard practice to keep continuing. So let me know what you think about attachment versus commitment. Are you feel like in your daily life, are you really coming up and you're feeling more attached to your process, the way things are? Or are you the kind of person that's really committed to the goal, committed to the team, like what's needed, or committed to yourself? Like ultimately, this is what I want for yourself, and I'm committed to that. And if that means that I have to learn something new and change up the way I do things, cool, no worries. I know that's going to be the way. I'm not going to be attached to a process where it's not going to generate or do the things that I need. I got to switch it up. That's what it is. Cool. Attachment versus commitment. Thank you guys for that. And we talked about change and hashtag Omatum, day 18. Man, I am really pushing it. Today, I totally forgot some meetings came up, and I didn't get a chance to run my 1 mile on my regular time. So I came home. I was playing with my son. I was like outside in the yard with him. He's running around. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take him on a stroller, and I'm gonna run my 1 mile. And I did. I played some music. We ran. We did this a few times when we were at night over the weekend. But this was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed running with him. He was kind of calm, relaxed, and he was just enjoying it, getting a little excited here and there. But day 18 down, super pumped. 12 more days left. Another challenge down coming at you. And I'm going to be starting to talk about the next challenge, the discipline challenge I mentioned in the previous video. And here's the thing, it's a 1 minute shower. So 1 minute cold shower, jump in, do what you gotta do, and get out. So that's the commitment, 1 minute cold shower. And then the healthy challenge, eating healthy. I just know I'm not gonna eat fast food, but I wanna think when you set goals, you want to come from a positive place. So I'll definitely be eating healthy. That's the goal. You shouldn't have a goal of I'm quitting this, I'm stopping this, or I'm cutting fast food out of my life. It's because the wording behind it creates that positive affirmation. Because goals is something you should be saying and reading to yourself, and you're reading it in a present tense form. I eat healthy, and that's simple as that. Versus I'm not going to eat fast food. When you say it out loud, that negative one, the negative phrase resonate differently with you versus a positive phrase giving you more of that positive affirmation for you, and it drives you further. So a little something on goal setting when you're writing down your goals. Positive affirmation, say it in the like a really positive form, and also say it in present tense. Imagine like if this is a goal 1 year from now, 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, say it in a sense where like it's in the present. You achieved it already because you're manifesting that. You're working on keeping that present in your future state or in your present state when you read it too. So some things to talk about later down the road. I'll be looking into more vision and goals conversation, so where you can plan that out and then work on your strengths so you can know what you want to, you know what you're good at, and you know what your passion is, and then you're building that self-awareness. And that way you have a roadmap. You have what it takes to go forward. You know what it needs to be done, and you are just pumped up. Just keep pushing through it. You'll get through it. I'm excited. I'm super pumped. So thank you for watching. I truly appreciate you guys tuning in. It's been a good day. I'm excited. Tomorrow we have some things we want to talk about. Team builders will be a topic of conversation. And and creating your environment to really stay focused. I'm talking about this so I can verbally like brainstorm sessions, so that way I can work on the wall behind me, I can work on some things in my office. I want to create that setting to really build my environment, because that I want to come into a space and feel motivated and feel pumped up. Sometimes I can get distracted, hence the discipline challenge next month, but also what little things am I doing to help build me, help build the foundation for my future. Because when I go solo and I own my own business, and there's not going to be a boss, there's not going to be a 9 to 5 schedule that, hey, you have to be strict on this. I have to be the one pushing myself and disciplining myself. So, cool. Thank you guys for watching. I truly appreciate it. Definitely leave some comment below. Subscribe if you haven't already. I love to connect, meet with you and then follow along with my journey as I continue to document my learnings, continue to share you guys what I've learned. So thank you for watching. And this is Sukhum Hing signing out of the Sukhum Show. Until next time, take it easy.